Hey everyone, it's William with Scamming Scammers Action, and we're here for our November Q&A. It's last couple days here in November, and we want to get our Q&A done. We're going to be doing a Christmas one probably in about 2 weeks. This Q&A today is going to be a little bit short. I'm having some pretty bad weather here, and so I want to try to get this going before the weather turns really bad and might lose power or something like that. So I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. And we had a lot of great questions. We're, like I said, going to try to keep this pretty short. So, if you have any questions, you can definitely write them in the chat, and I'll try to answer them as we go. But I wanted to start by thanking everyone again for joining us. I want to touch on a few things. To start off with, we have to remember that Christmas is coming. Christmas is less than a month away. And scammers are working harder than ever to try and get as much money, iTunes cards, Amazon cards from you as possible. Please remember to be very vigilant this time of year. We need to be very careful with who we're talking to, who we're friending, who we're accepting phone calls from, who we're accepting emails from. So please be aware that scammers are really, really trying to get your attention, get your money, and you just need to be very, very careful with the holiday season. It's not uncommon for some of us to get 20, 30 friend requests or Instagram DMs a day from fake profiles. And as we get closer to Christmas, they're just going to keep ramping up their scamming tactics. So please be aware. And as well, when you're out in person, when you're out shopping, you're in a shopping mall, you're out with your family and friends, there's scammers that are in person too. They're not always on the internet. So be careful when you're out shopping. Don't fall for any scams, any kind of money scams or Christmas scams as well. Just be very vigilant out there, and hopefully everyone will enjoy their holiday season without any scammers. So with that, I want to start with a quick thing. We're having more and more victims that are coming to us saying that they've went ahead and sent money for a military man's leave. We cover this all the time. We talk about this every day. Legit military men do not pay for a leave. They do not eat food once a week. They're not starving. They're not going without shoes, clothes, medicine. Their families are cared for. So if you're talking to somebody that's in the military online and they say to you, I need an iTunes card, I need an Amazon card, I need food, I've only eaten one time in 5 days, I'm deployed, I'm starving, I'm dying, it's a scammer. Don't engage them, just block them. Don't even question yourself. Just block them, because legit military men, as I said, and women, don't need your money. They don't need iTunes cards, and they don't need you to write to their commander for a leave. So, as like I said, the Christmas season gets closer, you're going to have more and more of these fake military profiles. Don't fall for it. They don't pay for leaves. They don't need you to write to a commander. They don't need any of that. So please remember that. Unfortunately, as I said, we have so many victims every day that are coming to our inbox saying, well, I sent money for his military leave. I, sent money for his food. And also, if you're talking to somebody online, let's say you meet a romantic interest online and you guys are talking, and that person says to you, I want to marry you, but you've never even Skyped with them. You've never met them. It's a scam. And a lot of these military profiles in particular, they will say that they're going to go ahead and send you your marriage certificate. It doesn't work that way. People don't get married over Facebook. A fake marriage certificate is always sent to people, and people do fall for it. Just keep in mind that's not how marriages work, and you don't get a certificate emailed to you via online. So if you're talking to somebody and they say, that they love you and they won't even cam chat with you and they're sending you a marriage certificate, something's very, very wrong. And also we always say, if people voice chat with you or cam chat with you, that they're legit, and it's not necessarily the truth. Do push somebody to cam chat with you, but also keep in mind, while you're on cam with them, ask them to do something simple. Ask them to wave their right hand or write your name on paper and hold it up next to their face while you watch on camera. Because a legit person can do that, but a scammer can't. And a scammer using a video recording device, a fake video, and they're playing it for you like a movie, if you ask that person to write your name on paper and hold it up, they're not going to be able to do it because it's a recording. So if you do get someone on cam, don't automatically think that they're real. Just ask them to do something silly like that, or ask them about something behind them on their wall and ask them to explain it to you. And that's a good way that you can tell if it's a legit person in the video. So we've gotten a lot of great questions tonight. As I said, I'm not going to have too long of a Q&A, but one of the questions asked from one of our page regulars was, why would the same scammer come back at me with a different fake profile after I found out who he really was the first time? It's a great question. Scammers do that for a few different reasons. Some scammers just like to stalk their victims. They like to harass them and scare them. You know, you block your fake profile that you were talking to, you found out it was a scammer, and they come back. It scares people a little bit. Some people get a little freaked out by that, and there are scammers that stalk people. Another popular reason, some of them are stupid. Some scammers are stupid, and they just like to try and come back at you again and try to scam you, thinking maybe they should change their tactic or, you know, say something a little bit different and try to get your money again. But in reality, you know, if a scammer keeps coming back again and again, just keep blocking them over and over and over. And the more that you block, you know, the better chances you have of that scammer just saying, forget it, and they'll go somewhere else. If a scammer doesn't think he's going to make any money off of you or get a gift card or iTunes card, they're going to eventually move on. So if he keeps coming back, just keep blocking. Just keep shutting the door in his face, and he'll eventually go away. But unfortunately, some scammers do like to stalk victims for whatever reason, and just don't be afraid of them. Just keep blocking them. So our next question is from another page regular. I reported a blatantly fake profile on Facebook, and it came back that it didn't break community standards. Why? Does that mean they are real? It doesn't mean they're real. We've had a lot of people come to us and say, you know, I reported that profile and they said it was fine, so you guys must be wrong. It must be real. That's not necessarily true. A lot of the reporting done with Facebook and even with Instagram, and remember that Instagram is owned by Facebook, it's automatic. So a lot of times it's not an actual person that reviews the profile. It's just a robot or a bot. And it may just look at it and send it on its way. I mean, we've reported profiles that are blatantly fake where the head is not even attached to the body, and Facebook says, hey, nothing wrong with that profile. It doesn't mean they're real. It just means that an automated system went through, checked the profile, and thought, it's fine. I mean, it's up to you if you want to report. We don't report the profiles because reporting a profile doesn't remove a scammer. It just shuts down his fake profile. They'll just make 10 more. But if you have reported a profile and it came back, you could report it again. It may take a few times to report it in order for them to remove it. But it doesn't mean that they're real. You have to look at the big picture. You have to look at the photo. What is the person telling you? What's their story? Look at all the factors before making that decision that, oh, well, it must be real because Facebook said so. Facebook is you know, not the authority on telling a profile between a real one and a fake one. They've shut down real people's profiles before and shut down fake ones and vice versa. So it doesn't mean it's real. Just look at the whole picture, do your investigations. You know what to look for, and if you don't, our notes section tells you. And if you're unsure, come to the inbox. We'll take a look at it for you as well. We've had a few more questions that are really interesting, and I'll try to get to some in the inbox as well. If I miss some, or if it's something important, just repeat it, and I'll try to catch it. I will tell you, last night we had a conversation. I was talking to a scammer as my fake old lady, and we were kind of playing with him, making him do all these stupid things, and he did them. But the conversation also turned into a real interview with a scammer. And so I stopped talking as the old lady, and I spoke to him as myself. And I interviewed him, and I asked him several questions. The interview goes on for about 40 minutes, and we're going to post it on our YouTube channel in the next few days. This scammer confessed, and this scammer talked to us, and he told us everything about his life, you know, and he told us how poor he is and how horrible things are for him. And I won't give too much away because I'll let you guys listen to the interview when it's posted. But just to know, scammers do confess. Scammers do say, hey, you know, I'm sorry I scammed you, or I'm sorry I tried to fool you with this fake profile. Here's my real name. I live in Lagos. I live in Accra. Here's my problems. I'm poor. I'm a student. I have no food. I don't eat, blah, blah, blah. They do confess. They do pretend to really care about you. They may even confess as themselves and say, you know, honey, I don't think you'd love me because I'm a black man. but here's my real photo and I'm in love with you. And I'll never scam again. I promise, it's my first time. And they say all these different things. And the reality is it's not their first time. They've probably got 10 women on the hook or 10 men on the hook. And they're getting money from these men and women, and then they're also scamming you as themselves. So if a scammer confesses to you and then tells you this sad story about their life and how they're hungry and they're sickly and they need money for school and their father's dying of cancer, and it's part of their scam. And yes, there are scammers that are poor and they scam because they do need money for food. But you can't tell the difference between a scammer who's scamming for food and one that's scamming you just because he can and he wants to buy extravagant, items with the money. So we had a scammer confess to us, and it's a really interesting story of what he told us, and then the actual reality of what the truth was. So we'll be posting that soon. But do, as I say, keep in mind, scammers do confess. They do scam you as themselves. They will send you their real photos and tell you all sorts of love things. And like I said, keep in mind, it's going to be just a bunch of lies. And so don't fall for a scammer who confesses and says he loves you, because it's just part of the scam, just as himself. So another question we had from one of our page regulars: what emotions go through a victim's mind when the meet and greet never happens? So you're talking to somebody, you're in love with them, you're in an online relationship, and they say, honey, I'm going to come and see you, but I need some money. So you send them some money. And then, oh, honey, the flight was delayed. I was arrested. I was beaten on the way to the airport with the taxi. People make commentary and they say, oh, victims are stupid and it's their fault and they're desperate. And I hate when people say that victims are desperate. It's not desperate. People want to be loved. People want to have relationships. And in the modern age that we live in, people have online relationships. I think they said like 75% of people that meet nowadays meet on the internet. So it's normal to look for love online. What's not normal is to send money to somebody you've never met. The emotions, I think, are that of a real relationship. I think you grieve. I think you become depressed, you become sad, you become angry, you become, you laugh about it, you say, how could I do that? It's a whole rainbow of emotions. It's everything. And it's no different than an online relationship is no different than a real life relationship. The same emotions are there. It's just that the person is not physically with you. But the feelings are very real. And for a victim, those feelings are very real. So you have to remember that if you have a mother, sister, brother, whoever who is in an online relationship and the person never showed up, it's a very real emotion. It's a very real sadness that they feel. It's the loss of a relationship. And so just like any real relationship in the flesh, it's the same kind of emotion. So to answer your question, it's everything. They feel all kinds of pain, anger, sadness. It's everything. And unfortunately, the only thing you can do is just be there for that person if it's someone that's close to you. And if it's you, just realize that you're not alone, and there's a lot of victims out there, and you're not stupid, you're not desperate, you're not, anything like that. You just fell for somebody who was a scammer, right? So next question we have: are there helpful resources for victims to use after a scam? It's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of resources out there. It depends on what you're looking for. There's anti-scam groups like ours. I mean, our inbox is always open. So if you want to talk, we're always here for you. And myself will always be here to help you. If you want to talk, if you want to scream, you want to yell, you want to be angry, you want to ask questions, we'll answer them. There's groups online. I mean, I don't recommend groups. There's no group I recommend that you join for support. I mean, you'd have to do your own homework because every anti-scam page is different. But there are resources online. There's online counseling. There's all sorts of things you can resource if you've been a victim of a scam. Even just pulling together your friends and family and being honest with them and telling them what happened can be your best resource. Talking to someone close to you about it. So there's a lot of different resources out there. And if, you feel really bad, I would recommend seeing a counselor or seeing somebody if it's that severe of an issue for you that you can't move forward. But there are a lot of resources out there. You just have to Google them, and you'll know the good ones from the bad ones. Our next question: What kind of people are scam victims? Is there a certain criteria scammers look for? You know, a lot of people, they tend to think that scammers look for lonely middle-aged women. And you know, we people in their heads, they think, oh, it's always middle-aged elderly or older women that are lonely and desperate and blah blah blah. It's not true. um, there are some scammers that will target just elderly people, people in their 70s, 80s, 90s. There are scammers that will only target women from Eastern Europe. There are scammers that will only target Americans or Australians, or, you know, married women or divorced women. There's no real certain target. I mean, we've had scammers that only target middle-aged men. Um, the only criteria scammers look for a lot of times, sometimes they'll just look and see if you're, you know, you're married, you're divorced, what do you do for a living? They kind of feel, when they're getting to know you, they feel you out. So they say, oh, what do you do for a living? And, you know, if they hear you say, oh, I'm a successful whatever, you know, doctor, they're going to be all over you. They size you up. So scammers do tend to look for people that are a little bit better off, but then there are some scammers that look for people who are single mothers struggling that don't have any money, because then they'll use you as a money mule. They'll use you to open credit cards and things like that. It's such a wide variety of what scammers look for. There isn't a cookie cutter answer to what they look for, because they look for all kinds of people. They look for poor people, they look for rich people, they look for the married people, single people. They don't care. They're going to find a use for you no matter what your life status is. So just remember that when people say, oh, I'll never be scammed because I'm married and you know, I'm this and that, or I'll never be scammed because I'm poor. It couldn't be further from the truth. Scammers will find a use for you no matter what you are. So just remember that. Anyone can become a victim. So our next question, do victims suffer from PTSD after a scam? Sure. It's mental trauma. I mean, we talk about the monetary loss of, you know, money, and they say, oh, well, I lost $1,000, or I lost all my jewelry in my bank account, my savings. But the majority of it, you know, yeah, you lose money, but the mental abuse and the mental and spiritual abuse that you go through because of these scammers is huge. And there are people that, you know, end up with PTSD. They end up with, you know, severe depression. They end up with a lot of mental health issues because of it, because the relationship to the person was very real. So yes, people can end up with a lot of mental health issues because of a scammer. You have to think of a romance scam like a real relationship. So if you're in a real relationship with somebody and you loved them and you gave everything to them, you know, and they dumped you, of course it's going to leave you mentally unwell. So absolutely, to answer your question. And the second part of that question was, have victims committed suicide over a romance scam? Yes. We've had several people in our inbox that unfortunately over the years have committed suicide or have attempted suicide. We had a lovely lady from Thailand many years ago that committed suicide over a romance scam. And it's heartbreaking and it's horrible. And the sad part about it is the scammers don't give a crap if you commit suicide. They just care if, you know, you're not getting money to them. You know, scammers do drive victims to suicide. It's not uncommon. It happens every day, and it's unfortunate. You know, you read in the paper that, you know, 85-year-old man commits suicide because a scammer took his whole life savings, and it's horrible. And the scammers don't care. Scammers don't care about you. They care about your money. So remember that, and you know, remember that you're better than a scammer. You know, don't ever, if you ever feel like you're going to commit suicide over a scammer, you know, there's lots of people that can help you. Come to our inbox. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you all night if I have to, but I don't ever commit suicide over a scam, because those pieces of garbage that scammed you are never worth it. So just remember that. But yes, people do commit suicide over scammers. Other couple things we're gonna touch on. That's our questions we had for today in our inbox. I want to talk some really quickly about profiles. Okay, we get people that send us profiles, and they'll say this person's fake, and I'll say to them, well, why do you think they're fake? And they'll say, well, they're using Michael Jordan as their profile photo. Well, that doesn't mean they're fake. A lot of people, myself included, use a famous person that we like, a famous musician or actor, someone that we like, as our profile photo. It doesn't automatically make a person fake, unless that person is saying they are the person in the photo. Or if you look on the photo and there's comments saying, "Wow, Mr. Michael Jordan, you look very handsome today," and the person says, "Yes, thank you, I blah blah blah," then it's fake. But a lot of people use celebrity photos as their profile photo just because they admire the person and they don't want to use their real photo. I can tell you, when I use my real photo on my profile, I get a bunch of scammers sending me friend requests. But when I use a famous person, or a dog or a tree or something inanimate, I don't get as many friend requests. So do remember to look at a profile completely before you assume it's fake. As I said, a lot of people use celebrities. They use their famous musicians and singers they like. They use, if you like your favorite TV show, you might use that character. It doesn't automatically mean that a person's fake. It just means that they might like that particular actor. So always do your homework. And everything like that. So say hi to everybody in the chat. I appreciate all of you guys coming here and supporting us and everything that you've done. It's been kind of a rough couple months. We've had more and more people come into our inbox, and one of the questions one of our page regulars asked us was, how many people do you get a day in your inbox who are actual victims? I would say that we normally get about 200, sometimes 300 people a day coming to the inbox. It depends. The weekends are a lot more busier. We do have regulars that just bring us fake profiles and chats, which is great, and we appreciate those. I would say probably, if I had to guess, I'd say maybe 50 people out of all those that come to the inbox are new victims asking for help, and probably 45 of them have sent money. So it's not slowing down. Scammers aren't stopping, and victims aren't stopping sending money. Unfortunately, it's very disheartening to open the inbox every day and you have people saying, "Oh, I sent $500 because he had no food, but he's in the army and he's peacekeeping in Nigeria." It's sad sometimes, and it's frustrating because you try to educate people, and every day there's a new victim. But unfortunately, as I've said before, a lot of people are not aware of romance scams. It's new to them. Even though we see things on the news, it's not talked about enough. So a lot of times people are new to it, and they say, I never knew. I never knew anything about it. And so we have to be vigilant, and we have to remember that a lot of people don't know about romance scams. A lot of people aren't aware of them. And a lot of people don't know about the rules of the military. They come to us and they say, "Well, I live in Poland. I had no idea that the U.S. Army doesn't pay for leave." Or, you'll have someone from America that says, "I didn't know that, that hotel in Malaysia didn't exist." And so, victims, like I said before, they're not stupid. People are not stupid. People are not desperate. People are not dumb. And so many victims have been called stupid, or they even call themselves stupid, and they say, "Oh, I'm so stupid." They're not. You're a victim of a crime. It's no different than if you were on a street corner and someone robbed you of your purse. You weren't stupid. You're a victim of a crime. But just unfortunately, online scams are growing. And as we get more technology and we have instant messengers and we have everything on our phone, and we can walk around and talk to someone across the globe on our phone, the scams are going to keep growing. So just remember that and be gentle with people. As you know, on our page, we don't tolerate anything that is racist or calls people stupid. That's another thing. Not everyone from Nigeria and Ghana and West Africa, not all of them are stupid. Not all of them are criminals. There's really nice people and smart people from those countries as well. So don't lump everybody in and say, "Oh, I hate all the Nigerians. Hang them all, kill them all." That's not right. There's a lot of great people from Nigeria. And just remember that. So appreciate if you don't use any kind of racist stuff on our page. A couple of questions in the chat box. I've noticed that some scammers speak perfect English. They do. They do, and we have victims come to us all the time and say, "You know what, I don't think he's fake. How can you say he's from Nigeria because he speaks perfect English and he types perfectly and he doesn't say stupid things?" You're absolutely right, but you know what? There are scammers that have bachelor's degrees, that have doctorates, that are very well educated, that are college educated, that have a better education than you and I, and they're scamming. So don't let someone that speaks perfect English or that types correctly or doesn't use the, you are my queen crap, that actually is very westernized, fool you. You have to look at what they're asking you. So if you're talking to a military man online, but his English is perfect, but he's asking you for iTunes cards and he's asking you for Amazon cards and your bank account details, it's a scammer. And we're having more and more scammers now that are coming out of India, Bangladesh, Cambodia. And you have to remember that sometimes you can pick out an African scammer. You can go, oh, when they say, I'm glad to meet you, dear. How's the weather condition? You know it's a scammer. And possibly from Africa. But we're having more and more scammers, as I said, from places like India, where they sometimes do speak just perfect English. And they'll use a lot of Western culture and a Western slang, so it can fool you. But at the end of the day, you have to just listen to what they're saying to you, what they're asking of you, what they're demanding of you. They're not going to stop. Scammers never stop. Scammers never change. They're going to keep doing it. And as long as we send money